Thank you, David, and thank you to Red Cloud for the invitation to present today. This really is an incredible story that we're working on in the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan. I'm just waiting for the slides to come up. We are a true discoverer in the Athabasca Basin, and we are focused on that carbon-free future that we need as a global society. So you'll see uranium, copper, and nickel in our title. When no one wanted to have this conversation about uranium post-Fukushima, we went out and found shareholder value in the copper and nickel spaces, specifically in the nickel space in the neighboring province of Manitoba. The fifth largest sulfide nickel belt exists there in the Thompson Nickel Belt. I'm not going to talk about nickel today, but it is district scale, it is top quality, and has tier 1 potential. We're going to focus on uranium. So we are that uranium company focused in the Athabasca Basin, and I will make some forward-looking statements today. One of them is that in 2021 we had an incredibly successful year. We had 3 projects within our portfolio centered in the Eastern Athabasca Basin that produced incredible results for us. So we had discovery at our Waterbury South project right near the giant Cigar Lake uranium mine. We had a discovery or ongoing discovery at our West MacArthur project with our joint venture partner Cameco at our 42 zone, and we had early success in our very first drilling program with our new joint venture with Denison and our Moon Lake South JV. So we were confident in entering 2022 saying that we were on the cusp of a major discovery. I can now say we've made that discovery, and it's the Pike Zone at our West MacArthur project. We had an incredible intersection on our very first drill hole on a new mineralized corridor, an extension of the 42 zone and the Fox Lake deposit that intersected 9 meters of 2.4% uranium with higher grades therein. Follow-up drill holes as we approached the unconformity hit up to 25% uranium. So as we approach the ideal target for these Athabasca Basin systems, we're seeing the grades of 25% showing up in our drill cores. So that is an incredible result for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. We're a very well-structured company. As of February 21st, we've got 122 million shares outstanding, 175 million fully diluted. Our cash position is standing at 15.6 million, thanks to Red Cloud for helping us on our last raise to cash up for what we hope is an incredible 2023 for the company. The price of uranium sits around $51 a pound, so we are poised for that upturn in the uranium space, and we want our shareholders to be ready as well. Management is well aligned with our shareholders. We own up to 4% of the company, maybe 8% fully diluted. So we're along for the ride with our shareholders. Our board and technical team is very experienced. We've got over 140 years of Athabasca Basin experience, multiple discoveries, including the giant Cigar Lake uranium mine. Dr. Carl Schiemann was part of that crew and led it for URANIUM back in the day. Nathan Bridge, my Vice President of Exploration, joined me from Cameco. We've known each other for over a decade, and I brought him on and developed the team along with him that ultimately, through his great work, has led to this Pike Zone discovery. So just an incredible team with a bunch of experience and a lot of discoveries. So we are that active explorer and project generator in the Athabasca Basin. It's a hybrid model. We spend our shareholders' money on projects where we feel that we're going to get the best return through discovery. Other projects that we project generate, we bring in partnerships to advance those projects, thereby reducing the risk. So it's really about driving shareholder capital gain, but minimizing the dilution to them where possible. So we've got an incredible portfolio, again, in the Eastern Athabasca Basin, over 300,000 hectares of land. The business case for uranium has been well stated, thank you, David, and by others presenting before us. It truly is remarkable. The fundamentals are completely different than the last cycle that was very short-lived. This one is going to live a long time, we believe. And why is that? Because if we truly want to, as a global society, reduce our emissions, clean up the environment, clean up the air, minimize the climate change, we've got to create more baseload energy. And that really is through the nuclear space. And you know, at the WNA in September, Sama, the Director General of the WNA, openly stated that you may have to actually quadruple your nuclear fleet to achieve the goals of society by 2050. That's just a remarkable conversation that's happening out there, and the fact that it's happening is very encouraging. There's technologies coming online. 2 years ago, small modular reactors really was discussed in a fantasy type discussion. It's not fantasy, it's reality. Just in Canada alone, the Darlington plant here in Ontario is putting in 300 megawatts of SMR technology to produce clean energy for 300,000 Ontario homes. From decision to first power production from those SMRs is 6 years. It will be producing power by 2028. Saskatoon, where we're centered, in Saskatchewan. They're putting in an eVinci, a 5 megawatt reactor, a Westinghouse design. Westinghouse just bought by Cameco. Cameco owns 49% of Westinghouse. They see what's coming. That company is moving forward in that space, and that should be a signal to everyone out there that this market is real and it's going to be long-lived. So these are a couple of examples that state it is reality, and what it means is we're going to need even more uranium. And that's where we come in, through discovery. So in 2023, we're going to follow up the discovery at the Pike Zone, which we'll talk about in a minute, our West McArthur project. We currently have 2 drills turning on that right now, drilling on that discovery. We're also drilling with another program, our Key Extension project, right near the Key Lake milling facility owned by Cameco and Orano. And our partnership with Base Energy should see its first drilling in 2023 as well. So we have a lot of news flow coming from 2 of our key projects, one of them the discovery at the Pike Zone at West McArthur, but also with our new partnerships through our project generation model. And that Base Energy deal was $15 million pumped into 3 of our newest staked assets. So our portfolio is centered in the Eastern Athabasca Basin. It's around all that critical mining and milling infrastructure owned by Cameco and Orano. The 3 mills are in the east, the roads are all in the east, the power's in the east. That's where we've centered our portfolio. Again, over 300,000 hectares. We've developed a district-scale nickel portfolio in the neighboring province of Manitoba. Again, not going to talk about that today, but it truly is world-class and second only to Vale. In the uranium space, our potential in our portfolio extends anything from outside the basin margins, looking for an Arrow, Triple R, or Eagle Point analog, right through the deeper parts of the basin like McArthur River, Cigar Lake analogs. Now, we can use this deeper sandstone to our advantage. Myself, coming from Cameco for many years, also my VP, Nathan Bridge, coming from Cameco, we see the large halos as an advantage because we can use that to vector into where that mineralization occurs along these major corridors. And that's exactly what we've done. So we're not shy of the deep sandstone. It's actually, in our view, an advantage. In our 42 zone, I talked about the success there in 2021. It has an alteration size that dwarfs Cigar Lake. This is roughly to scale shown on this image. On the left is our 42 zone. You can see the Eiffel Tower for scale. It's about an 800 meter sized alteration only, 300 meters wide. Cigar Lake, for example, is on the right. So it is a giant mineralizing event, and that's what you need in order to create these large deposits. So we went out on our West McArthur project, we reran the geophysics. Something wasn't making sense. The blue lines here are representations of the location of the conductors. That's what we target for these unconformity deposits. Our geophysics run in the past didn't add up to what we're seeing in the drilling. So we reran it. Those blue lines, those targets shifted by up to 400 meters. That's a big distance. We went out with the first drilling program on the south line here, the bottom one, and we discovered with the very first drill hole the Pike Zone. That's at 9 meters at 2.4%. It's located 15 kilometers away from the giant McArthur River mine. It's just a few kilometers away from the 42 zone and just along the same fault trend as Cameco's Fox Lake deposit, 70 million pounds at 8%. So we are on a very fertile, mineralized, high-grade uranium corridor in the Eastern Athabasca Basin. And let me be clear, this is the Eastern Athabasca Basin's newest high-grade uranium discovery anywhere in the east, and we're working on it right now with our partner Cameco. This is what it looks like. So that 9 meters, shown in yellow with a higher grade core up to 3.5%, is located 100 meters below that unconformity. This is new and this is significant, and it looks like the best parts of an Eagle Point or one of these large basement hosted systems. So on the left, it's located 100 meters below the unconformity. And we're following that target up right now at the unconformity, about 100 and 120 meters away. So 2 rigs on that right now. But the picture on the right is a picture that I took when I was chief mine geologist at Eagle Point for 5 years. And that's a 4-meter wide view. And that mineralized vein, you see all the yellow, all the red, just like the drill core that we have, that is less than 1 meter wide. If we put back the 6 meters or so of that highest grade portion of what we've intersected, it's represented by this yellow line against that photo. That's roughly to scale. You can see the significance from what is a truly economic ore grade drift at Eagle Point right through to what we've intersected in our drill hole in our very first hole. So we're really excited about this because it has the scale, it has the grade, it has everything you want to see for a tier 1 mineralizing event in the Athabasca Basin. So now, importantly, we've tracked that fault structure that's hosted the Fox Lake deposit through our 42 zone and now into our Pike Zone area, shown here by the black line on the left. So we know where that structure goes. Now, We also know that these deposits 100 meters below that unconformity, whether it's Eagle Point, Millennium, or even the roots of McArthur River, that's a 700+ million pound ore body at McArthur, all look like this. This is exactly what they look like 100 meters below that unconformity. As we move toward the unconformity, we start to see an even wider zone of mineralization occurring, not 9 meters, now it's 12 meters. We are starting to see that we're getting grades up to 25% as we approach that unconformity. And this is what it looks like. It's basically uraninite steel. This is very hard to deposit in these deposits. When you start seeing grades of 20, 25%, you know you're close to something special. So we've opened up an incredible target potential at the unconformity, shown here in the central image. We've already got over 100 meters of connected mineralization, over 100 meters of connected mineralization in multiple drill holes, and we're not even at the ideal target. This could be a basement system, it could be an unconformity system, we truly don't know yet, but we're starting to see the grades that are necessary to create these big deposits. These are small deposits, so we've got to follow our nose. The geologists now have these 2 rigs out there drilling right now, following their nose, trying to figure out the complexity of this mineralized zone. They can be very small, high-grade pods, very small, high-grade pods that plunge deep into the basement or sit truly at the unconformity, but the fact that we have basement mineralization 100 meters already below that unconformity suggests we're into a very big mineralizing event. So we've got to go out and follow this mineralization and figure out where it truly goes. These are complex ore systems, and we know that we're into a complex mineralizing event, and we need to figure it out. So geologically complex, but we're getting the right grades, we've got the right alteration, and we're in the right space. And we're right near the McArthur River mine on a heavily mineralized corridor, and that's where you want to be. Speaking of mineralized corridors and potential within our portfolio, we also have another drill turning at our key extension project. This is a new project for us. We've got an option agreement with a prospector that didn't see any drilling on this in the last uranium cycle. We recognized a couple of years ago that the Key Lake Fault, hosts to over 150 million pounds of past production by Cameco, 10 kilometers away, trends onto this property. We went out, did a deal, got access to it. The drill is turning for the very first time just a few weeks ago. So we're currently drilling these targets. We went out and did some geophysics. This is what they look like. These blue spots, these are gravity lows. This is an indication from the geophysics of the alteration present in the rocks, potentially. We've got to go out and drill prove this. Again, no drilling on this property. We've got uranium in the vicinity already identified at the Orchid Lake showings. These anomalies lie right along where we felt the fault was coming through. And importantly, these anomalies are not a few hundred meters in size. These anomalies are up to 2 kilometers in size. You can fit Eagle Point within these anomalies. You can fit the Arrow Zone, NextGen's Arrow Zone, in these anomalies. This is how the exploration at NextGen went. They targeted these blue geophysical anomalies, and they resulted in the Arrow deposit. So we're really encouraged by what we're seeing in the geophysics. And why is this important on both these projects is because McArthur River has just restarted. Now that it's restarted, it has a finite reserve life. That reserve life, if it runs at a modest 19 million pounds per year, is roughly 15 to 16 years. It is literally too late already to feed the Key Lake mill if we found it today. This will be, a shutdown of production in the eastern Athabasca Basin within about 15 years' time. Got to remember, Cigar Lake shuts down in about 6 years from today. You've got McArthur potentially shutting down in 15 years. The eastern Athabasca, no uranium production in 15 years' time. That's 20% of current global uranium supply offline. What is that going to do to your uranium market? We need to find a tier 1 asset out here. There is no other tier 1 asset present in the eastern Athabasca Basin. If we're right at the Pike Zone and we're close to that infrastructure at McArthur River, it has an immediate home at the Key Lake processing facility. So our job is to go out and prove what we might have. We're not sitting idle. We continue to look for opportunities in the eastern Athabasca Basin. Just 2 days ago, we announced a brand new stake project by CanAlaska, the Enterprise project. Again, there's our key extension project where we're just drilling. We've got several tens of kilometers of conductive corridor identified on this project through staking. We're looking to bring a partnership in here to move it forward. This is an extension on the other side of the Key Lake Dome, essentially, that we're so familiar with through our Cameco experience. This is the right geology in the right space around that critical infrastructure. We will move this forward and hopefully toward discovery as well. So we got a large portfolio, again, centered in the eastern Athabasca Basin. We're looking for joint venture partnerships, again, to move some of these high-risk projects forward and de-risk them for our shareholders. But we're really focused at our Pike Zone. where we've drilled that high-grade mineralization. And quite frankly, we believe CanAlaska ticks all these boxes, but the most important one is that we're advancing new discoveries. And I say discoveries pluralized because we have multiple discoveries in our portfolio, but for now we're really focused on that Pike zone, where we see all the right indications of a potential Tier 1 mineralizing event in that eastern Athabasca Basin. So with that, we're drilling a new discovery. Please stay tuned. We believe we're onto something very special. And thank you again to Red Cloud for the invitation to talk.